Welcome to Love Fly Podcast. Paul Tizard, fearofflying coach, and welcome back to, I think it's your third podcast with him, Michael Talone. Welcome back, mate.
Oh, great to be back, Paul. It is my third, and I haven't been on for a little while, so I was looking to get back on.
Yeah, so
Uh,
what do you want then?
yeah, I want help. I need more help.
No. So for those who may recognise Michael, so Michael was on one of the quite early ones, and then you came back and did something with Captain Steve, where we did something like all the questions you'd want to ask, and you sort of grilled him, and now you're back. So I'm really So maybe for those who catch you for the first time, perhaps you could give us a mini sort of like, this is what my situation was, and this is where I am now, and then we'll get into sort of what your story is now. Give us a bit of an update.
Yeah, sure. So I would say about a year and a half now. I was traveling with my family and just fear of flying, like everyone else, just scared of the whole thing, trying to hard to give up control, the whole thing. So we were on a return flight and, sat there drinking all day and, just was disgusted with myself that my family had to see me this way and was just tired of it. So came back from that trip, found Paul, looked around for, fear of flying help, came across Love Fly and started with the program then. Took a flight after that and it right away helped me because of Paul and Steve, Captain Steve, my favorite pilot, giving me all the info that I needed to know. So for me, it was the information that made me feel better. And that's it. And it's just been a continual process since. I recently, a friend of mine who I know, one of my best friends for 40 years, had been asking us to go on vacation, couples and the whole thing. And I was always very hesitant, obviously, because of the flying. And he had just asked me recently to go see a concert in Nashville, which from New York is not a big flight, 2 hours. So I said, you know what? I said yes right away before I even had a chance to think about it, and told my wife, and it was great. And so what I'm seeing is, and I've told you before, my goal is to get over to Europe, to get to England
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
Then
we haven't seen you yet.
yes,
We're holding you to that. So just before we
and
get
working
into
on it.
that, let's get
Yeah.
into you said that there was two things that people might be thinking. So I'm curious how you found Love Fly, because I'm interested whether that was the podcast or some other way. And secondly, you did a program, and I can't remember what you did, whether it was a webinar or you did the 30-day
I
program.
I actually did both. I did the
Oh, right, okay.
webinar 30-day program. I found it, I guess, through Google. I just searched, fear of flying. It took me right to Facebook. I immediately joined a group and I started reading, and right away, just the sheer amount of people who say and think pretty much the same thoughts that you have, that you thought you were suffering alone. Right away, that made me feel like so much better.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so that and then just continuing to read. Oh, and I also read your book, so I can't get enough of you. I read the book, I read everything. So I like knowledge. The
Yeah.
more I know about it, the better. Some people don't like that, but I like to know about the ins and outs, and that's why I just kept going with it. So
Yeah, I was worried that. So I don't know how much duplication there is, because there's only so many ways you can talk about turbulence. There's only so many ways you can talk about, takeoff, landing, the stages of flight and stuff. And so my big fear is that people will start hearing the same old nonsense coming out. But and as you've sampled everything, I'm hoping that you're not getting too
I
much
actually
repetition.
I will say no because in my mind I need that constant reassurance of
Mm,
reading and listening to it again. I've listened to all the podcasts. I listened
all
to,
of them.
yeah. I mean, I've been in since, like you said, I was probably, I think I was like in episode 30 or 35, somewhere around there. So I was pretty early on. And, everyone's story is different. So you can extract information and different things from everybody's story. So
Yeah.
that lady, the last podcast, I think her name was Gina. was saying how she took certain and was listening to certain songs as she took off and wore a certain bracelet. I mean, to hear people, going through the same sort of things that you're going through, it's just reassuring, and people are doing it, together. And the fact that you can read this stuff and hey, you know what, follow my flight or do something like that, it just makes you feel that much better. So
Yeah, I love all that. I think people have
yeah,
been amazing, and also the stories. So I try and get a mixture of technical stuff and people's stories because often people will share tips. So I've learned tons from listening to people say, "Oh, I did this and I do that," and I think, "Oh, that's what a good way." So yeah, I love people's stories. So I interrupted your flow. So your goal is to get to Europe, and I think you're a Man United fan, aren't you, if I remember right?
that's absolutely correct. And I want to get over there, and I want to get over to Italy. Like I said before in the other podcast, my dad was born there, so I just want to see, I want to get over there and see what's happening. So I think what I'm doing now, I think with me saying yes to that to this most recent trip, I think I'm checking boxes off that I thought I could never do. So
Mm,
basically, the first one was to obviously be comfortable and have my family fly with me, and not feel anxious looking at me. So okay, fine. We got kind of through that one. My wife and I have never flown without the children, so that was another one I was
yeah,
able to
yeah.
check off with this trip. Didn't fly
Did I
with
just
friends.
say, Michael, by the way, I saw that picture you posted of you and your partner,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of a celeb vibe about the two of you. I'm thinking, am I looking at the Beckhams?
Yeah.
You both look stunning, and I was thinking, oh, this is you two on a flight,
Well,
just popping somewhere.
she
I
makes
thought,
me look good. I'm just hanging on. How do they say I outkicked my coverage? If that's a easy another way of saying that she is above me. Let's
yeah, we say punchy.
say.
We say
Yeah,
punching. I don't know if that's what you
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that phrase.
Yep,
Not
that's
saying that no, you're a beautiful human as well, Michael. Just to be clear. So,
I
but yes, they
appreciate
look like you look like the glam couple relaxing on this flight. And I thought, oh wow, look at
it.
those
Yeah.
two. You'd never think that you'd had a fear of flying looking at you on that picture.
I mean, it really is. For me, it's been like I said, just the gaining of the knowledge, the information. Look, I'm not going to say I'm 100% cured. I'm not going to say that I still don't think of things, but I'm able to calm myself down. No alcohol on this flight. I just drank, a nice cup of coffee. I mean, it's a quick flight anyway. So
Hmm.
now what I'm thinking is now I want to go on a bit longer flight. My wife's looking to go to Aruba, so that for me would be the next step to get out of the 2.5 hour flight range.
So you've put
Uh,
yourself kind of like a window around that time frame, and you kind of
yeah.
you're
So
right with that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm so used to now. I've taken so many flights in that time frame. I know exactly what's happening, and being familiar with the noises and what's happening when, and sort of like when you're going to make the approaches and all that stuff. So, but I'm not there the whole time thinking about all that. I'm actually able to relax and just sit there. You know what I mean? And just
Mm.
you know in my thoughts. But just knowing it is good. Now I want to take it to the next level and see maybe a 4 hour flight or a 4.5 hour flight before my final destination of Europe. So
Uh,
uh,
yeah, just
again,
be careful with your terminology there. In terms of final destination.
oh yeah,
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 just
yeah.
just
Oh, that,
putting it out there.
not final. Uh,
So, what do you want to come and tell us about this podcast? And what's your because you've given us lots of little bits of wisdom in the other podcasts, and your questions have always been great. I'm curious what you're gonna give us this time. Apart from the fact you're really motivated, and that's amazing.
tips wise, you mean like what I do now to
Yeah,
calm
because you
myself
said
down?
sometimes you said you get some thoughts and you have to do something.
I breathe. I sort of
So
meditate a little bit.
so what are the triggers then? So what things are still kind of popping into your head that you have to sort out?
For me, it's always anticipatory, like waiting to go to the airport, waiting to get on the flight, things of this nature. To be honest, it's everything though. It's in my whole life. It's not just the flying. You know what I mean? I'm like that with sort of like everything, but it because I'm a little nervous flying, that the waiting around for me is the worst part. So I that's when my mind starts to race. When I'm moving around, when we're getting there, when we're putting the tags on the bags and going through security, you know your mind's occupied, so you're not really thinking about all this, all of the other stuff, that the noise in your head. But even in the morning time this time, so like I said, we flew without the children this time. It was just my wife and I. What was fun though is there was four couples. We all met at my buddy's house. We took the bus down. So again, there was a lot of movement, and my mind was preoccupied. So I wasn't nervous, and got on the flight. The flight was great. So that just I can picture myself on the plane now, sitting in the seat and relaxing. I was not able to do that before, so I think
Mm,
having that picture in my head, I'm able to calm myself down beforehand. For me, that's the main thing, is just staying calm and not getting too wrapped up in the thoughts.
yeah.
So that's what's been the biggest help for me.
So how do you do that then? What's your process?
I'll think of some of the music I play. I'll think of my favorite beach destination. I love to be on the beach, sitting there, listening to a book or listening to the music, and I picture myself there, and that will calm me down, knowing that there's 150 to 200 other people having to do this necessary thing to get where we need to go. That helps me now too. The crowd in the airport doesn't get to me anymore. It's just part of the process. Like, we've heard from you and from other people. It's just part of the journey. And what else? Another thing too is 2.5 hours used to seem like an eternity to me. Or, by the time everything's said and done, 6 hours, because you have to be there 2 hours before, the whole thing. So
Mm,
the 6 hour process, I would sit down and just be like, that's an eternity.
yeah,
But now I'm able to, because I'm a little more relaxed. It's like, hey, if I leave at 6 in the morning, by 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be where I need to be, and that's how I kind of, you know, what I'm doing is everything. I'm taking one step at a time. Get to the airport first, get
yeah,
checked in.
yeah,
Once I do that, I'm pretty comfortable. So I just like to be there early. I don't mind. If I'm sitting there a little too long, it's better than rushing and being late.
yeah.
So
I
having your
agree.
stuff in order too helps.
Mm. So you get there early, have your stuff in order. Do you do anything else in terms of, I love the imagery. That's really nice tips. Do you use the checklist or anything like that? I've not needed that.
I absolutely do. Making sure that you have. See, for me, my checklist in my head. So I learned from the checklist, but my checklist in my head is just making sure I have everything ready to go,
Mm,
right? Then
mm,
sitting there, relaxing, breathing, making sure I'm buckled in, whatever, all of that stuff. This is what's going to happen at 1,500 feet. Pete Higgins, listening to him say the noise abatement thing, the engines, the wheels going up, all of that stuff. So I do go through that in my head still. The stages of flight.
yes.
I know all of that, and believe me, I have it's all right there,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it's helpful. The one thing I could just say to to everyone listening is don't don't think you have it beat. You have to keep at it, and that's why when you said, "Oh, the message become," you're worried that the messages become repetitive. For me, the more I hear it, the better I feel. Actually,
Mm, mm,
so that's why I just keep saying those things in my head, and then once I settle in, then for the most part, I'll watch a movie, I'll do something just to keep the mind occupied. But
yeah,
other people can't do that, so that's why the checklist is important. Get yourself a cup of water, a bottle of water. It'll serve two purposes. If the turbulence happens, you could look at it, and then also you keep yourself hydrated, and you do things that make you more comfortable. Again, like what you used to say is, if you can get a seat where you want to be, that's always helpful. Now, I used to do it because I thought it was safer somewhere in the plane. That's not why I do it now. I just do it for the comfort. We got first row seats. I just do it for the comfort, and that's it. But in on that shorter flight, that's not first class. That's just we fly JetBlue, so it's just more room for the legs.
Yes.
But I like that, and
They're a good airline.
yeah, I like them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I've heard that. I've
yeah.
never
They're
flown
very
with them,
good.
but I've heard they're good.
Yeah, the all of the flight attendants are wonderful, and this time I didn't even look at the pilots. I just went and sat down. Usually I'm like trying to look at the
Making
pilots.
sure there are some, counting them.
Yeah,
Two. Oh, it's a
two.
good sign.
Thank goodness. But I
Yeah.
also think that I could hop in case they ever need a third pilot.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, we've there's plenty of you. I know it's become a bit of an old joke now, but it is the stand-in pilot thing in the audio book was deliberately that because I used to hear people say that I'd be on duty ready.
Yeah, yeah. That's not
And you
even
were
a
that
thought
guy.
anymore. I trust them. Let them do what they have to do.
Mm.
And I did watch that YouTube video. Somebody posted it about the long haul flight, the behind the scenes with the long
Oh
haul
yeah,
flight.
yeah. Any good?
Oh man, it was great. It really is to see them take the sleeping quarters and what actually goes into it. That's pretty informative too. So that also makes you want to take that sort of flight.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
there's so much preparation involved, and you are really taken care of. So
Yeah.
again,
Do you
for
mind if
me,
I ask you a personal question,
sure,
Michael?
sure.
Are you doing any sort of rituals still? So, for example, do you have to tell the crew when you go on board, or do you have to have any lucky items with you, or sit in certain seats, or anything like that?
No,
Nothing.
nope, no.
Hey,
And I
what's
tell
going
you what,
on?
yeah, I mean, it's really it's so nice not to do that. It really is. You know, I was never the one that wasn't going to get on the plane
Mm,
necessarily. I would battle through it because I was so used to it. But it's nice to have a calm mind and just get on there and just you're doing it for a reason, and that's it. We went to see a Red Hot Chili Pepper concert, so it was when you have when you're thinking about what the destination is and how much fun you're gonna have, then it's easier, you
yeah,
know.
I think it helps because it is. I say this all the time, but it is just a journey. That's it. We give it too much. I mean, personally, I love it. I mean, for me, the trip. I don't care if it's just a little jolly through work, the airport, the
Right.
aircraft. I love all of that. I can't wait. But I know for some people it's not like that. And then I think the goal is to get it to be a non-event and treat it like any other form of transport because that's
Yeah.
all it is, isn't it?
I enjoy when you think about it. I enjoy the speed of the takeoff. I mean, it really is. I'm looking out the window now. You're appreciating what is
Mm,
actually happening, and what the skill and everything involved in it. The machine itself, the aircraft itself. I mean, when you start to look at it like that, then you're like, yeah, man, this is pretty cool, and I'm able to not look at it and just cower, in fear.
yes, yeah.
Um, but again,
So,
the I'm taking it. That's also maybe a good plan for people, maybe to take little steps here and there. Not that that's my plan, but I'm sure you guys say the same thing. You do little things at a time, practice
mm,
flights or
mm,
whatever. I'm just taking it where now I'm going to go to the next level. We're going to fly internationally. Take longer flight and take it one at a time. Am I going to freak out on one of those flights? I don't think so, but I can better cope with it now.
yeah, yeah. So your upcoming flight, how long's the next one that your partner's planning for you?
That's Aruba, so that's
Aruba, right?
yeah, I guess 4.5 hours from New York.
Mm-hmm.
So
Not
I'm
bad.
I'm
Yeah,
almost at the 6.5, 7 hour threshold
yeah,
that
yeah,
gets me
yeah. A
to
couple more hours, you'd be in the UK,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If you told me Captain Steve was my pilot, I'd get on the plane right now.
would you?
Yes, I would. I absolutely would. I guarantee you that I would get on that plane. Why? Because I know we've spoken a few times, and not that I couldn't trust anyone, but I know him. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
know, I've spoken to him about things, and I don't know. It's just maybe that would make me feel just a little better to know, you know. But I'm gonna get on that flight. There's no question. There's no question we're going. So I want to see all of those sites and to
Mm.
let the ride on the plane, which really is, if you think about it, everyone knows the statistics. It's silly to let that stand in your way.
Yeah, the statistics I've never every now and then I kind of make an effort to memorize them, and then I realize that actually it's a very small percentage of people that it reassures them because in I can tell you that you'll never have anything happen to you, but the nervous brain will hear, but I
Yeah,
might.
yeah,
So the
exactly.
statistics don't make much difference. So it's that I think it's that inner thing. You know, to me, it's sort of like come what may, I'm going on that flight, and of
That's it.
course there's a slight risk something could happen, but in the scale of things, and
Yeah,
it's pretty unlikely. But it's just it gets all out of whack, doesn't it? So this is the phrase I'm bringing in because I heard it from one of your American, fellow Love Fly community people. They have to say it's all out of whack.
a lot
So
of whack.
it gets
You
out of
say it.
whack. Yeah.
You say it like an American as well. A lot of whack.
Well, 'cause, well, we're international now. You see, so
That's right.
the Facebook group's got people from all over the place, which is just I love that. We're getting nearly 1,000 people now. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's growing so much, and every week when you post on a Monday or so, new members,
Mm,
and and again, there's no need to be bashful in saying. I remember you first saying to me, not a lot of guys would ever admit that they, have some sort of fear, and there's men in there. There's men
yeah.
in there. It's not anything to be ashamed of, or it's something to get out of your system and help yourself by learning, and
Mm,
that's what I do. So I'm not. I'll say it. I'll scream it from the mountaintop if I have to.
no, it's good.
I genuinely like to help other people. When you see, when you read some of those that are the people are struggling, and they're just absolutely terrified to get on that flight. You feel for them because
Yeah,
you've been through it and you know
yeah.
how bad it is, and you don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let your wife, your husband, your partner, your children. That's to see their faces sometimes. That really was the catalyst to
Yeah.
to get myself better, and
Well,
you should be afraid
life's very short, isn't it? And I see some people. So this is my. I always say that I'm going to say this again. So anyone listening to this, if you got flights coming up, do stuff. Start today. Do something small every day, and keep doing that stuff. I mean, I don't know what your maintenance program is like now in terms of keeping fearless, but I think it's one of those things which you just can't let it back in. It's a bit. I know it's a rubbish comparison, but it is like exercise, isn't it? You can do really well for a while, and then you sort of let it slip and go, it doesn't matter.
It
And then when
completely is,
you
and
lose it.
yeah, what I do is I check in on the page. I look every day and I see people's stuff every day. You're reading the things, and I communicate with you now and then on there. I throw some comments on there, but I do that. Listen to the podcast all the time because again, the stories from professionals to people like me, the all that different
Mm,
information, I can't get enough of it. So for me, that's what I need to do. There's no there's no there's no end to what you can learn. So everyone's going to have a different story or a different way of looking at it. Now,
yeah.
I never had to have a certain song playing when I took off, but you know what? You do certain things and you're like, well, what? You know what? That's sort of what I used to do with other things. So to hear someone has that sort of thing, it's just reassuring to hear someone else have that,
Yeah, normal stuff. And
that
everybody's
struggle.
on this. This, they're all capable, intelligent human beings. And I used to find when I used to do the big, large group courses that I talk to people. I say, "Oh, what do you do then?" They say, "Oh, I'm a professor at this, or I'm a, I'm a teacher, or I'm a police officer, or fire, whatever they call it now, fire brigade, paramedic. All these people do responsible jobs, psychologists, coaches." Come on the course because sometimes we need to sort of go. Do you know what? I can't do this on my own, and I think I love the way that everyone's helping each other in the Love Fly Facebook group. It's
It'd
just
be great if we. It'd
so
be great.
humbling.
I would love to see a couple of in live in person, some seminars. That'd be great.
So we are going to do some more webinars, but I think there is something to be said for the face-to-face thing.
Yes.
But it takes a little bit of organising, and
If you read that page enough, you start to become familiar with the names,
mm,
of the people. So you kind of know the people, and then to actually see someone live and then speak to them about this, that would be it would be kind of cool.
yeah.
Like when
Well,
I come and have a
Gita
beer with you.
suggested, yeah. Well, you're going to come have a beer because I'm when Fiona comes over. We're going to go and have a tepid. We're going to have a go and meet in a pub, have a
That's it.
tepid beer.
That's it. And again, that's a goal, and that's something to work towards, and that's what keeps you going. I mean, look at you. You wake up every day. You're helping people.
No, it's great. I mean, it's one of those things that it's when I took a break from it, which I did for about a year, and I missed it. And also, I, I people started to email me, so I went off the grid a bit for about 12 months, and I was getting emails from people saying, I did your course and like 10 years ago or whatever, and need a bit of help. Basically track you down because everyone's findable, aren't they?
Yes.
And
Hell yeah.
I just was sort of reminded at how much I enjoyed it. I think with the group courses, I lost sight of the fact that you being able to help individuals. So being able to talk to people like you now, doing the podcasts, and also been doing the last year doing the masters, and just I've just done finished off the research now. And I literally submitted it just before our call today. Way, and that was really interesting as well. So I got to speak to five people. I won't say who they are, and sort of we did some coaching, or just to sort of see, what was it useful and things, just because I wanted to test out some theories,
Yeah.
and it's just been so illuminating. So I've re had the interest been rekindled completely, and talking to you now is really motivating for me. I find it really interesting to hear people's stories. So
Yeah. I mean,
more come forward, please. Let's have some more, real people telling their stories. We've got a few in the can at the moment,
yeah.
and I've already got episode 100 recorded. So we're up to about 95, 96 at the
Yep.
moment. Episode 100 is I got a whole bunch of pilots. I got Captain Ron from Fearless Flight,
Yep.
Alon from Simplify. He came on,
Yes.
and then there's so Captain Steve couldn't make it. So I've got Pete Legg, and they've got Emma Henderson, Captain Emma from the EasyJet thing,
Yep.
and Adele from who used to work at Virgin. She now works for the CAA.
What
So
about Captain Chris? Now you just had him recently on Captain Chris.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. He was.
yeah.
I've been trying to get him on, but he hits so many people that he put,
Yeah.
write to him every day that it's taken a year for him to sort of like go, yeah, right, I'm on it now, and that was great.
It
He's
was.
such a
Yeah.
such a lovely dude. Yeah, he was such a lovely guy. I didn't know what he'd be like, but I had a chat with him before, and I've seen him. There's another site called Not Just Crew that does stuff. They were set up by a couple of ex-cabin crew guys who wanted to help people because so many people lost their jobs during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and that membership group's up to like 11 or 12,000 now. And I heard Chris on that one being interviewed, and I thought, oh, he'll be a great guest, and
Yeah. And
he
see,
was great.
following him on Instagram, seeing the behind the scenes in the cockpit and stuff. Like for me, again, that's so reassuring to see. They're just kind of hanging around in there. When you don't see it, I used to picture them like, like just holding on to the. Obviously, it's not a steering wheel, but holding on. Like paying attention every second. Not that they're not paying attention, but you know what I mean. It just looks like a relaxed atmosphere, and
Yeah,
seeing that makes it so much better. Again, more information and insight is what has helped me the most. So um, I didn't have to pay my wife $20 to look like that in the picture either. She was happy and smiling. That was genuine. So you look back on that picture and then you get nice comments of people saying, "Wow, you look relaxed," or "You look this and that,"
yeah,
and then you're saying to
yeah,
yourself, "Wow, I really." I've come a long way in a year and a half. You know what I mean? So I still got
Mm,
some work to do, but you know,
mm,
I'm on my
yes.
way. So
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, it's remarkable. I think. But you never particularly showed a lot of nervousness when we first spoke, and some people, everyone shows it in their own way, don't they? So quite often, when people fly who are scared of flying, they'll look around and go, "Well, no one else seems to be nervous," but people kind of act. There's a lot of acting going on,
oh
So
yeah,
some people will show it,
right.
but many will like you, where you won't know, and it's all going on inside, and it's like a thought.
Yeah, I'm just extremely quiet. I get quiet and I'm just staring straight ahead. I'm not engaged with anyone around me. That's
Mm.
how I used to be. Now I can look around and look out the window and not stare at the
So you
flight.
you move your head.
Exactly. I'm not staring straight ahead to to do that to yourself
Yeah,
is not good. Like
yeah.
to not take in the experience. You're not. I don't fly every day, obviously.
Mm.
So for me, it's the thing that I like to. I'm interested in. I've always been. It never. The thought of it never scared me. I always marveled at it, to be quite honest. And to now, like I said, be able to sit there and actually enjoy it and not go crazy in my mind is
Mm.
forget it. That's why I always reach out to you or I say, what can I do to help someone,
Yeah,
beside me? You know what
you're
I
really
mean?
good.
Because
You're really good.
it's uh, it's just so nice to help someone and to have someone. I know how good it feels to
Mm.
you know feel better.
So what's your theory then? Why, if it's 1 in 5 that have a fear of flying, what's your theory of why so many?
I think it has to do with, for me, it's got to be the control. It's got to be the control. You're out of control. You have no control. Again,
Mm.
when we're on the ground driving, we think we have control. We're just fooling ourselves. You don't. You have more control than you do when you're flying. But when you're on a train, I can't see what's happening. You're on a bus. You can't really see what's going on. So you're trusting those people to do what they have to do when I heard you first say that, and start to talk about the training, you don't realize how difficult it is and how they do keep checking to make sure that these people are, up and up. You hear the odd story about a pilot drinking or something or all of this, but and the guy sitting next to him is on that flight too. Probably is the guy who says, "Hey, man, maybe this isn't a good idea for you to be flying us." So there's checks, and that's what's
Mm.
good.
Yeah,
Someone's
and there's a
knocking.
lot of crap in the media about that sort of stuff because
Yeah.
we had a pilot that was offloaded, and he was doing the ketone diet. They have some, and apparently it creates certain fumes when you do a breathalyzer.
Oh, really?
It's very similar to alcohol, so it was in ketosis. I think that's the correct terminology.
Yes.
So that was all in the media, obviously completely cleared. But that sort of with the random sort of drug, and these people, what people have to, I always say to people is that, it's the job. It's not like, it's literally, if you do anything, that's your career. It's not like you can go and work for another airline. That's your license gone. And so pilots take it very seriously, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Very good. I mean, it takes so long, costs so much money, and you've got to be so motivated to even get to that point. To get in the airlines that people will see. They've done so much to get there that it's just they don't want to throw it away. So but it's easy to sort of. I see stuff in the media quite often, right, and it makes me want to. I'm not quite at the stage yet of shouting at the telly, but I'm not far off.
Yeah.
Because I just think that is and the films, some of the rubbish they put in films. The only one that was good was the Captain Sully one. That one. That, I mean, there may have been a bit of dramatization, but I read his book,
Yeah.
and it was
Right.
pretty true to that. So I thought, well, that's good because normally it's just nonsense. They've I'd have the pilots sat there wearing their hats, wrestling with the controls. Just thought, what? It's just such rubbish.
And what's good is you have a platform to turn that around. You know what I mean? That's what's so good because
Mm.
growing up, what do you see? You see that stuff.
Yeah,
You didn't have the information, and that's why, you know, like you said, you're convincing yourself and training your brain in a bad way,
yeah.
and that's why you have to, untrain it.
Well,
Mind.
these pilots are just they're just so amazing. We had there's one called Ralph who's also on episode 100, and he worked with me years ago at the beginning, and we were doing this because I still run one-to-one courses, and Ralph was the pilot. So we get to this simulator, and we're stood there. He's got his uniform on, and there's somebody there who's going to work the control, the machine side of it. And he says, "So right, who's the pilot then?" And we all looked at him and said, "Well, you are." He said, "Well, I don't fly this aircraft type." And
Oh,
not one of us had thought to actually check that it was the right simulator.
right.
And so we've got a client there who's waiting, so we're thinking, so he literally asked the chap working the controls and he asked some couple of piloty type questions. And then he flew this aircraft. And it was just, he said, well, it's obviously laid out completely differently but the basics are the same, and he
Yeah.
was able to help this person get over the fear of flying, fly the bloody thing. And I was just like, remarkable. Because these simulators, we were in one the other day, me and Captain Steve and somebody else, helping somebody else. And when you're in there, it's a flight. You just, it feels the same. It makes the noises. If you do a bumpy landing, you feel it. It's amazing. It's
That is
absolutely
amazing.
stunning.
Well, and I will take into consideration that you, on one of your earlier podcasts, one pretty recent, you said, it takes all your limbs to be able to fly a plane. You said much like a drummer. So
Yeah, yeah.
I right away that I said, well, maybe I can be a pilot then.
Well, you've definitely got that off. And the other thing is, I was thinking that you were talking about anticipatory anxiety, but you're a performer.
Yeah.
So actually, you must have strategies and resources to be able to deal with that because,
Yes, and to be quite honest, when I first started performing, uh, there were things that I would get super duper nervous before, and most performers will tell you that that's sort of a good nervous. That means
mm,
you're ready to go.
mm,
But I mean, it would be almost debilitating, and I had to work through that. And it's just like the flying thing, I had to work through. Oh, okay, I've done this before. Let me take the next step. And if you take it step by step, slow. It's a slow process because I've done it for years and years, and it was terrifying. I remember one time a friend of mine invited me up to play. I wasn't in the band. My wife and I happened to be at a restaurant, and my friend was playing, and he invited me up to play, and that's not me because I wasn't
yeah, I
prepared.
wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, so I said, my wife's like, well, you kind of have to. So I did, but and it was fine. It went fine. It just, I'm my biggest critic when it comes to that as well. But it was fine, and I got off the stage, and I was almost like hyperventilating because
Mm,
I was so nervous to like screw up. But again, what I know as a musician, if I screw up, sometimes the people watching don't even know. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like I can compare it to the flight attendant who I'm sitting in the seat feeling bumps. They're not even
yeah.
it's not even registering with them. So it's the same sort of thing. And it's only because you keep doing it, like you said, exercising your brain and working
Mm,
at it. That's why I practice before I play. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but
and it's the same sort of thing. And that's a great link actually. So visualizing and going through the motions of thinking, right, I'm going to fly, and then going through the checklist before you fly, thinking about your flight, where you're going to go, what's it going to be like, what you're going to take with you. All of this visualization is great practice. And I love the little phrase you said a minute ago, which is about a good nervous, because it's excitement, isn't it? I'm a public speaker. I love it. Okay, well, I'm in my flow when I'm chatting in front of lots of people.
right,
However, to get to that little walk from you know a bloke in the audience to that guy up on the stage, that man is just
long
terrifying.
process. Yeah,
It's terrifying, but It's a good nervous. I love that. I'm going to use that. That's mine now. Is that all right?
You can have it. It's Love Fly property.
Don't forget, good nervous, folks. Yeah,
Good
because we
nervous.
always say, it's excitement. Because your body feels the same stuff. We label it whatever we want, don't we?
Yeah, and it's like, if you, maybe if you don't have that sort of nervousness or anticipation, and you're a lot of people say you're not caring about what you're doing. You know what I mean? So that's also because you want to do well, and you
Mm,
want to, you want to succeed. Am I succeeding being a passenger? I don't know if that's quite the same, but succeeding in being able to do it is important, and
yeah,
you shouldn't torture yourself. There's absolutely no reason to do that.
no. And it is a. I think you can prepare to be a passenger because it's a journey. And if you think, because we had a guy on really early on, Fred Finn, the world's most travelled man, right?
One
You
million
remember him?
miles, right?
Yeah, yeah, some
Yeah, I
crazy
remember him. Yep.
Concorde guy, and uh, and his thing is there's no such thing as jet lag, and that was his. When he speaks all over the world talking about his flying time, and he says there is no such thing as jet lag. It's just a sort of a media term. You're just tired.
Yeah, you're just
You just if you did 14 hours of traveling anywhere, you'd be knackered. You wouldn't be able to sleep right. You probably feel a bit all unsettled. He said it's no different. It's no different. Add in a bit of dehydration, maybe. He said, but it's just travel, and I think I've always held on to that because I think quite often, and I was saying this recently, that we'd never sit for 12 hours and do nothing, would we? We'd always be up and about. So the whole thing's completely artificial, and we're supposed to like it. So
yeah.
we have to distract ourselves and
Well, how do you
chunk
feel?
up the time.
How do you feel when you drive for 14 hours? There's no
Mm.
drive lag. You're tired. It's not because you're going up in the sky that you're tired. You're just tired because, like you're saying, you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Anywhere you drive for an extended period of time, you feel tired when you got to get up. You have to stretch. So again, yeah, like you said, a media term, and
Mm.
I never, obviously, never really experienced jet lag because I never traveled that far. I have done. I've told you this before. I have done a 4.5 hour flight before though, when I was younger. But back then it was, it felt like 4 days because that's when I was really,
Yeah.
I again, and
Yeah.
it was a 20-year gap of flying. So that I don't think there'll ever be. I know there won't be a 20-year gap ever again. So again, that just being able to say that I'm so far ahead of
Yeah.
where I was a year and a half ago that again, it's not it's a lot, but I've done the work though. That's the thing. You have to, and I
Mm.
will I will say that the month before, 5 6 weeks before, I was preparing a little extra. I was listening to stuff and going through the book again, and you know a little more. Like I said, I follow every week. I listen every week, and I'm reading everything on the page on the Facebook page. But leading up to it, I did prepare. I mean, I was conscious of it, and I remember you saying one thing. Like if you do happen to get on a flight and then all of a sudden, what if you're, you know, if you may be terrified again or whatever, blah blah blah. And I just don't want that to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's why I just keep at it and just my
Yeah.
my brain is listening to me now.
You eventually, I mean, eventually it will just completely go. That's
Yeah,
just what happens, because it, the fear can't deal with what you're doing. It'll just, at some point, it'll just be completely gone, and you'll just have a normal amount.
yeah,
So I was
like
talking to
everybody
somebody.
else.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if I was saying to somebody recently, only time I've ever been fearful was was on a flight and I was asleep, and I woke up with a sudden jolt because there was turbulence. I always have my seatbelt on anyway, so I knew it was okay. And I felt like the aircraft was leaning over, and it was all in my head because it was dark. I couldn't see bugger all,
Yeah,
and it was a shock. And I had to literally rationalise. Right, I'm on an aircraft. It's fine. If it wasn't, they'd tell me.
yeah,
We're. So, but it just for a moment, I thought, But that's the difference, knowing what's going on and being able to sort of talk yourself around from it because it's a normal thing. And if I was sat there quite happily and suddenly we had a jolt of turbulence, I would experience exactly the same as everybody else. Nobody's like beyond that.
No.
But the difference is what happens next, isn't it? And that's
It's
where
the
we
same.
get to.
It's the same in first class or in the back of the plane. Just because you pay more to be somewhere else or pay less to be somewhere else doesn't mean it means absolutely nothing. And that's what I'm glad that I can say to myself now. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, we flew on two different aircraft. So on the way down, we left from New York. On the way down to Nashville, it was the 3 and 3. I forgot what it was. Airbus.
Mm.
What is it? A320 is the small one. I think it's the small one.
A320, A320. I mean,
I
they've
think it's
got
an
a bunch of them.
A320. But then coming back, it was the 2 and 2. It was an Embraer, I think is the name
Oh,
of it,
nice. Yeah, yeah.
E190, and didn't even think about it. Didn't bother me. Nothing. I just nope. Just
Mm.
got on, and
Mm.
those people. The pilot has to get home, and they're flying in the plane, so
Yeah.
it's good. It's all good. So
Mm.
in the past, I'd be like, oh my god, the plane's so small and blah. It's just as powerful. It seemed like it was fine.
Yeah. Well, I've run fear flying courses on the Embraer and Airbus, Boeing's, and sometimes people will have this sort of thing about single aisle versus two aisles and stuff like that. But it's still, they say it's a small aircraft, and say, well, it's got 90 seats on it. I don't know how big your house is, but 90 seats seems pretty big to me. It might not be the configuration you want to see, but it's so quite a lot of it's what we tell ourselves, is it? I think
Exactly.
we're our
Even
own
a private,
worst.
I guarantee you, everyone would love to fly in a private plane, and look how small they are.
Mm,
Even a big private jet is small.
yeah. Well, I had somebody the other day talking in the group about that. They were quite nervous about it, but Captain Chris is doing quite a bit of work with those Saab 900s at the moment. So I think I always say follow Captain Chris on Instagram, and you'll see lots of stuff posting about little jets as well. And
Yeah,
also Heidi Cole taught. She's a private flight attendant. She used to work for like the larger like the Virgins and places, but now she works for private jets. And I was quite surprised at how much they go through as well, as you know, because you've listened to the podcast. But it's just anything that's up there where it's taking passengers. It's a commercial flight, and call it
yeah.
private, call it what you want, business jet, but they're all going through commercial pilots training, and they all have to go through the safety, and they all get tested all the time. And I've seen the simulators are just I've walked this one place where you've got and there's all these different like badges on the side for the different airlines and the air and these little pods are all like different ones, and you kind when you go past, you go, "What's that?" They go, "Well, that's a 747. That's an
Wow.
A320. That's a biz jet." And you go, "Oh wow!" So they're all in here, jigging around, being put through their paces, by the likes of Captain Steve and Captain Chris. So it's just
Well,
phenomenal.
Captain Steve didn't invite me, so if I come over, he did say I can get into
Yeah,
a simulator. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure you could hold him to that.
really hold him to
Yeah,
that.
he's he's like the Scarlet Pimpernel. I can't get hold of him half the time.
Yeah,
He's buggers off somewhere, and then he's back. He's around.
yeah.
But he's lovely.
Living
He's such a lovely guy.
living. Oh man, I mean, just great, and really seems sincere, just like you, in wanting to help people, and you know, it's almost comical looking at how calm he is about everything, and he's not, obviously he's up there too, and he's not doing it, it's
Mm,
just, it's not even a set, nothing's a second thought, when it comes to the actual doing it, he's been doing it so long, and that's the other thing you have to put in your mind. Like, I think, oh, what am I special? Like, I'm going up one or two times, and like it's just he's doing it for 32 years, and he's doing it every day, and there's people who do it every day, or
mm,
however often they work, and it's just like a job. Like, I go to my job every day. So, if you
yeah,
think, you start to break it down into little pieces, and
yeah.
you know,
The
that's what.
difference being we all don't get tested on our ability to do our jobs too. I think
No,
I think sometimes when you see what they go through, it's just astounding.
sometimes maybe we should. You see the way people drive.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I
Driving.
think if you got retested on your driving, how many would keep their license?
Oof. I'm telling you, the way people have been driving lately, I don't know. I mean, it's just cutting
Did you want
people
to
off.
name anyone? This is
No,
jump.
I just see in general.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, right. No one in particular.
In
But
general.
my neighbour, yeah. So we're getting near the sort of like the sweet spot now, just under the hour.
Yep.
Uh, the final Michael wisdom. What's your kind of top tips from where your journey so far, what you're planning to do for others?
My biggest tip, and I've said it over and over, is just to keep reading and learning and going over the stuff. Like you call it, exercise. That's what works for me. Break down the flight if you have to. Break down. All right, I got to go to the airport. First thing, I'm going to check the bag. I'm going to go through security. I'm familiarize yourself with that. Keep going through that. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I actually thought about that. Oh, I know 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10,000 feet. We're going to get some coffee because it's a short flight. That, just in that, knowing that that's coming makes me
Mm,
feel calm. I drink my coffee. That's another 20 minutes gone. You know what I mean? So that's how I get through it too. And the biggest thing for me is I'm doing it for myself, but I'm also doing it for everyone who's traveling with me. And,
yes.
the past two times that I have traveled, I haven't had to hear, oh, you look miserable on the plane, or you look so nervous, or, eat something. And it's just becoming
Mm,
normal. And that's what a great feeling to want to travel and not have to worry, not have to not go somewhere because I don't want to get because the transportation. I'm not happy about the transportation, but
yeah, and
so
not to be a pain in the butt for everyone else.
completely and to be honest with you, that was a lot of it. It was a lot of it because I wouldn't want to travel with someone who looked like that or had that like look, about them. That's it. And keep up with all the stuff. I find that when I read somebody's comment or I'll comment on somebody's thing and share the knowledge, help someone else too, because
Mm,
that also helps you knowing that you're helping someone else. And you know what? Oh man, I'm a little bit of a veteran at this. Like I feel like I've been in this sort of at the infancy. You take a little pride in that too because you've been part of the community and you're
yeah,
still working on it. So
yeah.
you're growing it with you. So I expect some stock options very soon.
Sorry, I can't hear you. There's some, I think
Is
some really bad signal. Sorry
this
about
thing on? Is this thing on?
that.
But no, you give it in what you've given me personally and everybody. I mean, it's just been invaluable, and you're very generous with the knowledge
Shh.
and the time and stuff. So I won't
No,
tell
that's
anybody.
enough
Shh.
of that. That's enough
Nobody's
of that.
listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody heard that
Well, the most selfish thing you can do is help others.
one.
It feels massively rewarding,
Yeah,
yeah. So, yeah, I'm completely selfish.
that's it.
Michael, awesome. Give us a shout when you're over here. I want to hear when you're going to Aruba. I want to know about
Yes,
that. Stick it in the group so we can all be jealous. And
for sure.
then when you're over here, we can tap up Steve Ball, that
Yes.
promised little sim thing, and and a warm pint somewhere.
All right. You buy the beer. I'm buying the Man U tickets. Although your dad's gonna probably want to come, not you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not a big fan, but he'll be there. Yeah, he looks like me with hair, which
Oh
is
wow, with
just
hair.
not right. It's not
That's
right.
not right.
It's not right. But there you go. What can you
Listen,
do?
who needs hair? We don't
Exactly.
need it,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
It's just extra hassle, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I get out of the house even quicker without it. Who needs it?
And that's what I console myself with every day.
That's right. Listen,
Michael Talone, awesome, mate. Thanks very much, and I'm very grateful for your time coming back. Podcast number 3,
I
and
thought I was gonna be episode 100. That's what I was shooting for.
yeah, nah, nah. Sorry, I was trying to
103.
think.
103 is not bad.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good, and I had a sort of idea, like episode 50 was a bit of a goof off. Episode 100, I thought let's get some pilots in, normal
Yeah,
people,
of
just
course.
having a bit of talk. I gave threw a bunch of questions at them, so hopefully everybody will enjoy that one because it's quite a little bit light-hearted.
I
And
always like speaking or listening to the pilots. I love that.
thank you for what you do, and keep doing it,
Thank you.
Michael, and keep moving forward, mate. It's brilliant stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.